Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cadets Social Hour. My name is Denise Ponfiglio, the Director of the Cadets, and we have lots of folks here joining us tonight. Joe, you can unmute yourself.
Good evening. Okay, the microphone is now working. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 Cadets Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. I hope that all of our cadet family and friends are well in this unprecedented year of 2020. My name is Joe Dirigo. I'm a former cadet, aged out in 81. I was also a member of the plebes, if you could remember back that far. You may have heard of me DJing cadet parties, or even maybe your wedding. My father is also was a former cadet from 39 through 1952 and current Hall of Famer as well. So with the drum corps year canceled due to COVID, you'll be happy to know that the cadets are alive and well. Virtual rehearsals are being held and the kids are doing great. I am sure that 2021 is going to be a very special year for the Corps. However, tonight is about four very special people entering our Hall of Fame. Our inductees are Marie Di Domenico, Cindy DeVivo, John Malloy, and Andy Warrants. Each of them has dedicated much of their lives to the Corps. Without people like this, the cadets would not be possible. Now I'd like to bring everyone up to date on the current standings of the Corps and what's going on. In May of 2020, this wonderful year, the cadets separated from youth education and the arts to embark on a new venture. A new umbrella organization was formed called Cadets Arts and Entertainment Incorporated. So now more than ever, we need your help and support. The cadets are now out on their own, so please donate by going to donate.cadets.org or cadets.org/donate to make your donation. Please visit our new and improved alumni section while you're there too. Go to cadets.org and click the alumni tab. At the top of the page, this expanded cadets alumni page is your new go-to for all announcements and general information, including alumni news, combined calendar of all current Corps and alumni events. So all social events, tailgating parties, and pre-show gatherings will be posted here as well. The Cadets History Book, Holy Name website, historical gallery of photos and videos through the years, Hall of Fame, alumni gear, and more. Please also see our new and improved Facebook page for alumni, the Cadets Alumni. All cadet alumni announcements will now be posted both on the Cadet Alumni page as well as through these various social media pages. We have some upcoming events too. The Cadets Story. In desperate need of drum corps fix? Well, tune in to see the 2020 cadets at 3 p.m. on October 25th. Our Corps accomplished a lot this summer and want to share it with you. RSVP to the Facebook Live event so you don't miss it. Simply go to Cadets Alumni on Facebook and register. What we'd like to do now is to, talk to everybody and see what's going on and invite people to speak. Talk about our current, inductees. If you have any stories to tell or anything like that, please feel free to jump in. We'd love to hear from you and tell about your relationship with them and what makes them special in your mind. Do we have a connection to anybody out there?
Well, I can talk about Cindy for a little bit. Cindy, for those of you that don't know, is actually on the board of directors for Cadets Arts and Entertainment. She's worked hard with all of us, in the past several months as we've been in this virtual world of the unknown, actually, and has given quite a bit of her time and her effort and her energy. And we all, send our condolences to her. She just recently lost her sister, unfortunately, who had, a battle for a while. And so our hearts go out to her. But she's worked extremely hard for this organization, not just for Cadets Arts and Entertainment, but for all of her contributions in the past with this organization. So I can't say enough about her. Hey, Cheryl. You're muted.
Hi, Denise. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Well, I got good things to say about all the candidates. I'm really happy with everybody. Andy, who used to hang around the drum corps when we watched, called Moonhead. There he is. Congratulations, Andy. And Cindy's always been around. And Marie, she was a staple. Aunt Nell,
Yeah.
my Marie. That's who she is. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yes.
Good things.
I can say from being on the committee, we had so many qualified candidates, and it's very difficult to have to narrow it down. But I think in due time, everyone will be, officially recognized. And Marie, I go back to the '60s, and of course Marie was around then, and she's still around, helping, donating, and I think she's very, very deserving.
Andy currently teaches at the Cadets, the Battery. He's our holy base guy. He has, he himself actually started a scholarship fund, and amazing, how much money that they've contributed to that fund to allow, every member, of that base section to have their fees paid, just pretty amazing actually. So he's a very special guy. His daughter is also a member of the Cadets, which is super cool for him to be teaching and his daughter to be performing. So I'm sure that's quite special for her and for him actually. Hey, Andy.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. We're moving, so I got all my Cadets gear packed up in boxes. So
I know, I was gonna say, Andy, your
Mhm.
background's not looking like Andy.
but thank
Yeah,
you.
those who know, go ahead.
Where are you moving to, Andy?
Just 5 miles away.
Okay.
Just something out in the country instead of in town. So have a little space around us.
Oh, good.
Andy, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations, Andy, well deserved.
Fantastic. Yeah, those who knew my family from years ago, mostly my dad, would have remembered our basement was filled with cadet pictures, about 40 or 50 of them all around the basement. So if your house is anything like that, I certainly understand.
It is.
Hello, Mercedes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cheryl's also a current Hall of Famer too, so she's been in as well and done amazing things for the Corps. Okay. What else can we talk about here? We've got a lot of things, some announcements we could bring up if you like. I don't see the general public. If I can be added to that, that would be great. If I could see more people and recognize people wanting to speak. Hello in the background there.
That's Sheree.
Yes, she's a current member, I understand.
That's
Correct?
Sarah, yes. Yes, she
Pleasure to
is.
meet you.
Yeah. Well, there's some people that will join that won't be on video and some people that will be. So that's why you only see so many faces. So yeah.
I see maybe 4, that's it.
Oh, no, you should see, you should be able to see a lot more.
Not sure how I can do that.
I have about 25.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got 19 on mine. Yeah.
All right, so I'm a little blind to whoever is potentially joining us. Okay. I see, actually, I do see names now. I see Pat Zampetti, I think he's with us. Pat, I'm sure you have a few
Hey, Jeff.
stories about some of our inductees.
Hey, Patrick.
Okay. All right.
What's
Well,
new
let's
in
see.
everybody's lives? What has everybody been doing during this Corona, COVID-19, stay at home, don't go no place, just go as far as, well, in Massachusetts, we can go to New Jersey and New York and Vermont and Connecticut, but for quite a while there, we weren't allowed to go anywhere, actually. So at least we're able to travel around the New England states, except for Rhode Island, still very high rates, over in Rhode Island. So have you guys been doing anything fun?
Working.
Working. I know.
Notre Dame won today, so I'm
School's in
happy.
session.
Yes,
So
school is
it-
back. Mhm.
Business as usual for me.
Yep.
Well,
We
working
have
is a very good thing right around now. A
in-person
lot of people work.
instruction. Half our student body attends one week, half attends the next week, and then that's it. And then about a third of our students are home full time.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Well, like I said, it's a very good thing to be working right now. A lot of people are not, and that's a shame because of all this going on, but it's a good thing. I'm glad to hear you're doing well and working.
Sadie, what's new with you?
Actually, I just got back from a trip to Pittsburgh to see my 96-year-old mother.
Nice.
I couldn't wait any longer.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, her birthday was June, missed that one. I usually go in September, missed that. And then I just said, I got to go,
Mhm.
And it was good. It was great. The flight was wonderful, really. Not that many people on it. So that was good and encouraging. And we had a great time. I got to spend a lot of time with her, and I have most of my family is up there as well, and my husband. So I got to see a lot of people. We socially distanced, of course, but yeah, it worked out really well.
Very
And I don't know if you heard, Denise, or Cheryl, or by other people that I know much better. I'm going to be a grandmother.
Yay.
So excited.
Congratulations.
How
Thank you.
exciting.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cool.
End of January. So
Very exciting.
yes.
Very exciting.
And it's a boy.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome.
Hi, everybody. I didn't get to see everyone. Let's see who's
Hello
here.
there. How are you?
Michelle.
Hi,
Hi,
Sadie.
Michelle. Jared. Pat. Georgie. How are ya?
Welcome.
Good to see everybody. Sherry's here. I see her, but I don't see her.
Terrific. Hey, Jerry, you have anything to say about some of the inductees?
Yes.
There he is.
You.
Talking about me?
Yes, sir.
Come on, Jared, speak up.
Well, I've known Andy since 1987, when his parents used to, be on the food truck, and Andy used to help out back then. I don't even know how old you were back then, Andy. You were probably, if I was 14 at the time, you had to have been like maybe 8 or 10, maybe.
I was 11.
11.
Wow.
So yeah, I was 14, and we were two little babies, I guess. Maybe we were the youngest. No, Shuey and Arlene were. But anyway, Andy's
Definitely.
been around for a very, very, very long time. And he is the curator of all things HB. He has actually, I don't know if anyone knows on this call, but Andy has developed the HB website. We actually have our own website.
Very cool.
That's wonderful.
What years did we start that you have on the website?
72 is the furthest back we could get names.
Yeah, so
Andy, remember I had asked you in one
Yep.
of the last meetings to get me the information, because I was one of the original fundamental bass drummers in 1962.
Yep. I gotta
Oh.
get you to get some more names so we can add some years for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so Andy developed that Holy Bass page. We talk almost on a weekly basis, if not every other week basis, and we talk about all things HB and how to get more people involved with donating, and I don't know if everyone saw our little Holy Bass performance ensemble last season. But we were able to raise, I think, like $400 to $4,500 on that day, and then between August and November, I think we raised another $12,000. We were able, between the two events, we were able to donate $16,000 to the Corps, Andy has been a mainstay since I've known him in '87. He's very influential in keeping all the Holy Base guys together. We throw an annual Holy Base reunion every single year at Allentown, and he's pretty much the guy who kind of, with the help of everybody, but he's pretty much the guy that kind of organizes it, make sure we have our porta potties set up. That's important, the porta potty.
Very important.
And we have, make sure that everyone has their assignments as far as what to bring for the thing, whether you're bringing all the beer or whether you're bringing the buns or the condiments or, the burgers or the dogs. But the main thing is, and this goes every single year when we talk, it's all about the kids. It's all about the new members that come in. It's all about the brotherhood and sisterhood. And it's been a pleasure working with Andy all these years with, keeping the Holy Base thing going. And it's an honor to witness my boy getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. So congratulations, brother.
Thank you. And
Congratulations.
I'm working with Kara now with the CPIT alumni, trying to get some stuff going similar. So
Yeah.
last month she did a jersey, a CPIT jersey, and I think sold 42 jerseys, but asked, hey, if you can donate a few more dollars so we can give a donation to the Corps under the CPIT. So out of those 42 people, she raised $500. So this weekend we're going to send that $500 to the Corps, and that's how we do it. Like little pieces at a time, but if we all participate that way, we can do really good things for the Corps to make sure other kids get to have the experience that the rest of us alumni have. It doesn't take, you don't have to be a millionaire and donate $1,000. It can be as simple as donating $34 once a year. And it's all it takes. There's so many of us. If we all participate, things can happen very positively for the Drum Corps. So
yeah, just imagine if each section, does something. We what did we do, Andy? We did the Alumni Fund, right? Is that what we did?
yeah.
So we partnered with this nonprofit organization called Alumni Fund, where we were able to send all the donations that we received from HB over into Alumni Fund, and Alumni Fund then gave that information over to, or the money over to Cadets. Right,
so I'll talk about my speech, but really it was a scholarship for the members, but it was not to replace Maroon and Gold Club and Feed the Corps and all the other things that the alumni need to do. And we made sure, and I made it very clear up front, like we're going to do a scholarship, but it doesn't replace the other donations we individually give to the Corps. You still need to do that stuff. So, it's just what I'm always about with the alumni is support the kids, support the Corps. And later when my speech is played, you'll hear that. It's just where my heart's at. So enough about me.
More sections can do it. We can get the baritones, sopranos, and the color guard, and because you got to think the bass drums is only 5 of us every year.
That's right. Smallest section, but you guys do some incredible things.
Yeah. So just imagine if the other sections come together, and it doesn't have to start off anything big. Like I remember our first Holy Base reunion. It was Andy and myself, and I think Axel, right? Yeah. And we met at the bottom of the Corps entrance and exit of Allentown Stadium of J. Bernie Crum. And then the next year, we got maybe another 1 or 2 other guys that marched in the baseline. And then it slowly but surely, every year, it got a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger. So it doesn't have to be this huge gathering. You know what I mean? It can start off with just 3 people. And next thing you know, what do we have now? Like every year we have anywhere between 30 to 40 and 50 guys and girls that march in the baseline. That comes back to we call it the Mecca. And we get together and we make sure that we feed the kids that in the baseline and in the drum line. I think it's kind of spread to the drum line now. Instead of just the baseline, we feed them steaks, we feed them chicken, potatoes, sides and all that other stuff. No beer, but just soda and juice and water and stuff like that. So it's gotten pretty big. But it can start off really small, and then as you can become bigger, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So
Fantastic.
but I'll keep quiet now.
No, that's great. Thank you so much. I wish you were doing that when I was in the Corps. We had cheese sandwiches. It was terrible.
Yeah. Then we well, Andy, I help out every now and again with the drum line, but Andy's like, he's officially in, percussion staff, but even in move-ins, Andy and I, we buy the drum line, food, and like we'll have like a big giant pizza party, or we'll cater something for the drum line, like maybe that last week before they move out and stuff like that. So,
Thanks again. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, it's always about just being a positive influence on the kids and letting them know they're loved.
All good. All good. Keep it going, please. Mr. Zampetti.
How are we doing?
All righty. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great.
Ray, I think you may have a word or two to talk about Marie. You have any information?
Yeah, absolutely. Marie was kind of the, I guess everything went through Aunt Nell, but Marie was there every step of the way.
You bailed the Corps out a couple, like financially a bunch of times.
And I know that when I came to the Corps, Marie and Aunt Nell were doing things like mortgaging their house so that the Corps could go on tour.
Just a little, like up to there. I've been doing a little at a time.
Oh, of course, Trace.
Thank you.
So it really is, it's great to see her finally get the recognition that she deserves. Denise, I have a quick question for you. I read a recent post about a reduced season in 2021. Have you had any meetings with the directors and talked about that possibility?
I meet with the directors on an ongoing basis. We have been meeting for the past several months weekly. And, everything that we do is going to, COVID-19 is going to dictate what's going to happen down the road. We've come to realize that we're not going to have a normal season like we had in 2019. It's just not going to happen. So anyway, we are talking about having a shortened season tour. And basically what that means is that things will start later in the season. There's lots of talk that we're going to have a really bad fall and winter with COVID-19, and it's starting to spike in different parts of the country right now as we speak, right? We're working hard to figure out how we can manage and mitigate touring a drum corps during a pandemic, that we may not have a vaccine available to us by the time we need to move on the road, and how best we can manage that and keep everybody healthy and safe. So we have lots of conversations going on. DCI started a task force, which is headed by Dave Glasgow from the Blue Coats. He was a press director for the Blue Coats. He now is a salesperson for one of the uniform companies. But anyway, I'm on that task force, and I'm working with him and lots of highly well-educated people that are dealing with this virus. We have a woman that worked at CDC, Infectious Disease Control Department. This is what she was doing. And she just recently retired from there. So she's part of this committee. We have lots of doctors, we have lots of nurses, there's some folks that are on the front line, that we're meeting and talking and preparing and doing an incredible amount of work. So our hope is, and DCI recently put out a statement that talked to the fact that, our goal is to be on the road, be on a football field, in 2021. It's just going to be a little bit later than we typically start, which is sometime, maybe the third week in June. It's not going to happen. We'll basically probably start drum corps sometime in July.
As long as we're able to do so, that would be fantastic. Yeah,
that's what we're all hopeful for, and we just all need to do our part in this, of social distancing, wearing masks, Stay away from lots of, large gatherings, small places, confined places with people and all of that, so I'm hopeful. We are all hopeful.
Yeah, I would think that housing might be a big issue.
It will be a big issue, and therefore we're planning on doing a combination of hotels and schools. If we can get into schools, great. Otherwise, we'll be in hotels and, identifying hotels in the areas that the drum corps are going to be, and, and mitigating a situation if somebody comes down, contracts the virus. How do we mitigate that, within the drum corps and get them completely isolated and away from the corps, and getting them back home and all that. So there's lots and lots and lots of details that need to go into this, because this is our DCI's model is to tour around the country, and we've talked about doing shows that are more regionalized. So all the Eastern corps will stay in the East for a while. The Midwest corps will stay in the Midwest. California corps will stay out West, and we'll do that for a while. And then we're all going to kind of tour into one place, and have some shows there, and then hopefully right into Indy. So we're working hard to figure this out. And in the meantime, every drum corps is heads down, working on what the protocols will be. Unfortunately, every drum corps will likely have situations where, just everything is closed, all rehearsed. So every corps is going to have their own bubble, so to speak.
Mhm.
Those of you that follow sports, all the National Basketball Association, they're all in their bubble, right? And they were able to mitigate this virus, and they were able to have a successful season, which they're the playoffs. So all of that, in dealing with how best to mitigate, is super important. It's at the forefront of all that we're doing and all that we're planning for, as we move down the road here. So
Thank you for the update.
yeah, sure.
And I have a feeling that when the corps do come out, they're going to start with 90s,
Yeah, that would be nice, right?
You've got like 2 years or a year and a half to get ready. So they're going to be.
That's the thing. The interesting part of this is that the 2020 into 2021 drum corps, including the cadets, are going to be the most well-educated group of young adults that we've ever had in our history. Like of all 86, years of this corps, because when you're in this environment, you have their attention, and we have had an opportunity to have some great, education going on with all the staff, and I've been able to have access to staff that's here in this country or out of the country, that we typically couldn't afford to have in front of the kids, so anyway, this is going to be definitely one of the most educated drum corps that we've ever had, from all different aspects, and we've been practicing since January, basically. The corps, cadets were one of the first corps to have a virtual event, which we had in March, and we'll have virtual events all the way through. And we have another one coming up on October 25th. And it's been, unfortunately for the 2020 cadets, they'll never have the opportunity to put on that uniform. They've never had an opportunity to be in a stadium and hear their name and hear the fans, and none of that. So they've all been in this virtual, kind of environment. But we're going to give them their time. They're going to have on October 25th. So you guys, please do join. You get to meet them. You get to meet the cadets, which I think will be very cool, for at least folks to put a name to a face and to a reality of the fact of, what these kids have been doing for the past several months, what they've been learning, and they're very eager. Trust me, they're very eager to be able to show the world what they've been doing, because they've been working hard, very hard.
Denise, could you have ever imagined as a young girl up in Revere that this is what drum corps would be in 2020?
No, I mean, it's just no. No, there's no words for it,
Right.
And there's nothing about anything that's normal, and trying to keep the kids, the kids were devastated when the season went down in March, and we had, at that time we had, I guess basically all of the spots were filled at that point. So we've lost about 20 kids in the process that didn't want to continue on until 2021 because I didn't know what that was. And several of them that were actually supposed to age out have already had plans for what their future is, through job opportunities and all of that. But we've had about 134 members that we've been teaching from March until now, and they're 134, super energetic, brilliantly smart, young kids, young adults that can't wait for you guys to see what they've been doing, and hear them, So anyway, I keep telling them they're going to have their day. They're going to have their chance. It's going to happen. Just keep on washing your hands. Don't be hanging out with your friends. Don't be one of those. I don't want to see you guys on the news that you were partying someplace. Don't be one of those people. So
can't have that. Not at all.
Yeah.
Delise was alluding to the 2020 Cadet Story. It's a special video presentation to highlight our 86th Cadet Corps. Please mark your calendars and tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, October 25th, on the Cadets Face page for this special broadcast with never seen before footage. This is what Denise was alluding to when we got to make sure we try and catch these things.
Yeah. We have a very special version of Rocky Point that we put together, by one of our very famous composers.
Yes, indeed.
So anyway, you don't want to miss that, and they've been working hard at it, learning it and playing it. And anyway, they're ready. They're ready to kind of let the world know who they are and kind of what they've been doing. So yeah, so please do 3 p.m. on October 25th. Please do, come in.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any stories to bring up, maybe about Cindy? Anybody out there, or for John?
I can always talk about John.
There you go.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is David Keller. For those that don't know me, I actually marched with Kara in 16 at C2, and been good friends with Andy the last few years. But yeah, John's actually the first contact I ever had with the Cadets organization. I didn't get a chance to do high school marching band and found out about drum corps late. So I marched when I was 24, and hi, this is my cat, everybody. And I was in Maryland at the time for Christmas. I went down to school in Virginia. Was actually supposed to meet my now wife's dad that weekend for an audition. But John, being the recruiter that he is, convinced me to drive up north and come audition instead. We're married now, and Steve loves me to death, but I definitely bailed on meeting him that weekend for the co-audition. But John was just that kind of person that in that email, I've always called him like the most aggressive recruiter I've ever met in my entire life. He was just one of those people that C2, for those that don't know DCA, we always had the problem of we're missing holes. It's kind of hard to fill, and there's you don't really have your core locked in until the season ends. But it was always just impressive to me that I'd see someone get hurt or something happen where they can't finish out their season. And in 2016, I would just see John walk away and then come back. It's we just filled 3 spots, and I'm like, what the heck? That took you 10 minutes. And I don't know. He was just always one of those super positive people, and especially within the organization in 2016, after our push in the finals, a lot of my memories were with John, because I played drum set, and John was our buglist that summer. So he was on a box 10 feet to my right. No, he was to my left. So I got a lot of good talks with John, just kind of, just enjoying watching him play first and foremost was fantastic. But then, watching him teach, watching him just be that person with the core that, yeah, I owe a lot to our, to at least the C2 alumni that we talked to that year. We owe a lot of our success to John, and kind of cause our staff there was fantastic. And I don't want to say it was single-handedly him or anybody else, because as a percussion section, it was always great having Andy come in and do some stuff. As a pit person, I always just loved Andy would have these one-line comments to pit that I'd be like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. And just his brilliance there. But a lot of the way John just kind of if we needed something, he was the kind of guy to just go get it. And yeah, so I guess when we did like a big push, because I run a podcast called the Drum Corps Podcast, and we started, and like getting John in was like one of our secret missions, and was like me, Gareth Ramsey, who marched C2 in 16 and 17, and Cyrus Hyderi, who marched in 2012. We all run it, and like I said, when we started it out, like having do our nomination episode for John was like the third episode idea that we had, because we all kind of just talked about what we want to do as a podcast. And we were like, we want to represent C2 since we're all from that corps in various capacities. Cyrus marches Bucks more than C2, but we still wanted to have our moment. And John's on. Hey, John. And yeah, so it was just one of those, he's just such a guy that's just so easy to like. Like it's, I don't know. I loved having him there. Definitely missed him in 16, and then like hearing the stories from the Fusion Corps folks in 17 about just, it all kind of was the same consistent thing of just aggressively positive, aggressively loving the activity. Like it's always just fun to just ask him like one drum corps story, and then like he can just go forever. And I guess I'll close by saying I think my favorite John story, which got me in a little bit of trouble at C2. John, I live outside DC with my parents at the time, because I was home for the summer for college, and John, in his, I don't know how he made me do this, he convinced me without bribery to drive into Washington, DC at 5 p.m. to go pick up someone from the airport, and convinced me, you'll definitely have enough time to get up to East Shippensburg University for rehearsal that weekend. I should have known better. And as a drum set player for the Corps, I definitely should have known better and got a little bit of a talking to, because as a 24-year-old adult to agree to do that, that was not smart on my part. But that's just the kind of person John is. He's just like, hey, I need you to do this. Or yeah, she doesn't even say that. It's like, hey, could you please do this for me? And then I'm like, yeah, it's you. I trust you. I can do it. And then, well, I missed an evening of rehearsal. So that happened. But that's just, there's probably 1,000 of those stories of John, because with that, he convinced someone to fly up early from South Carolina to come march DCA. And that's, I don't know. That's just a lot of crazy stuff. I guess I'll wrap up with that, and I'll just do a real quick shout out to Andy. I think something that kind of got missed, at least with the HB stuff, that I really liked about Andy as an older cadet when I was at C2, Andy is a fantastic historian for the Corps and a amazing advocate for the activity. Going into my second season, I was really interested in the history of the Corps and wanting to learn a couple new things about it. Especially since I was in Virginia for college, driving like total of 14 hours for trips. I would be listening to old shows, want to be excited about it. And I just put on Facebook one day, like, hey, what are some of the like top hits of the cadets from like the 70s on? I kind of want anything. And then Andy went, all right, you need to listen to 70, 71, 72, 70. He gave me 70 to 2017 in chronological order. And he went, yeah, oh yeah, don't forget this one and that one. But it's just like he did every single show. And I'm like, you just want me to watch every cadet show, don't you? And he went, sure, why not? History's important. I'm like, that's the kind of person Andy is. He was always an advocate, at least with me, and what I would hear with the younger members he was talking to, of preserving the history of the Corps and knowing where we came from, knowing, not just like knowing the important years, just like he was always kind of like talking about the years no one really talks about, that kind of got me into it, and not just the ones he marched. And so it was just always, I don't know, talking to him and John kind of really inspired me to like love this organization, and what small part I played in it. I felt very special because I got to be taught by people like John and Andy, and just seeing them love the cadets and do anything for them was just, now how can you not love cadets when you have people like John and Andy on your staff?
If you guys don't mind me, I'd like to jump in. My name is Ricardo Brown, but everybody knows me as Rick. For those of you that I haven't had a chance to meet, I marched the cadets from 2001 to 2004. I was a trumpet soloist. John and I were in the trio together in Malagania in 2003. And guys, I just got to be honest with you. I might get emotional because I love John with all my heart. He's one of my dear friends, and I wouldn't miss this for the world. I've been involved in the drum corps activity consistently since 1999. I'm currently teaching, at another drum corps, but when it popped up that John was being considered for the DCI or the Cadets Hall of Fame, it was absolutely essential that I at least, let you guys know how I felt about him, both by writing and having the opportunity to talk to you today. John and I were rookies in the Corps at the same time. I went to an HBCU, so I wasn't really, a Corps style guy. And so I didn't really know what to expect. I knew who the Cadets was. I had marched drum corps a couple years before, but I had heard all these horror stories of how hard it was to march the Cadets and being up all day at, starting at 6 in the morning and going until, and I found out that those stories were absolutely true. and, but I used to hype off it. I really enjoyed that part of being a cadet, the fact that we work harder than everybody else. And the fact that we when everybody else is sleeping, Mark Sylvester one time, John, I don't know if you remember this, but in 2003, George Hopkins took all our free days away. So we didn't have a free day that summer. We had a free 6 hours. That was it. But Mark Sylvester was up on the podium in San Antonio, and he yells to the whole drum corps at 7 o'clock in the morning, because after the show, everybody usually has a free day, and we actually rehearsed. And at 7 in the morning, he yells, "How's it feel to know you're the only drum corps rehearsing?" we're all out on the field, like, man, I guess let's do it, man. And to me, I think those are the type of stories like you were talking. You don't really remember being out there rehearsing your butt off, but those key moments that happen, and I have so many of those moments with John. And I'll tell you a few of them. First of all, there's like a bunch of pictures of us floating on Facebook right now that I had to like delete from my page because of a college. And I don't want like my students seeing like pictures of me and John like with no shirt on and stuff like that. But yeah, John and both musically, both just us hanging out. We call John Torpedo, by the way.
I get that.
But my first interaction with John, I can remember, well, a couple of my first, but John and I, we just clicked instantly. Both of us were lead players in the drum corps. John was a huge Maynard fan. I was not. So John took it upon himself to educate me in the world of Maynard Ferguson. And I remember when you got a chance to meet him, John, man, how happy that made my heart, man, to see that picture. But just stories like that, guys, or funny story from tour. I'm sure we can say this here, but we're not hopefully on Facebook yet. But John and the lead section,
we're all live.
Yeah, we had a lot of stupid traditions as a section, but we just clicked instantly. And John and I have kept in contact over the years, from his, both of us teaching in the drum corps activity to, just being good friends. And with his wife, and John, a couple of months ago, talking about him buying a house. Just all these milestone life events that we have had together. So when I saw his name pop up for membership in the Cadets Hall of Fame, it was a no-brainer for me. And I love John dearly. As the gentleman just said, John is one of those guys. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And it's friends like John that can bring you back in the darkest moments. And when you need that pickup at rehearsal, you look over. I remember when, at the end of 2003, when John aged out, I cried like a baby, because I'm sitting there like all my best friends in the drum corps are aging out, and I still have a year. I remember being like, man, I wish I was aging out this year, and I used that motivation in 2004. I was Cadet of the Year in 2004. So
yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. So John, I love you dearly, man. I'm so proud of you, dude. I'm so excited for you, man. And some other faces on here, people that have been inspirations in my life, like Jareed. Being, back when I marched the drum corps, there weren't many African Americans in the corps. So we all looked up to people like Jareed and Axel and all these guys that came before us. So, just all these great cadets and all these great people. But John, I thank you for your friendship, my friend. I thank you for being who you are. And I just congratulations, man. You absolutely deserve it, man.
Thanks, Rick. I just want to respond very quickly and say that you did a fabulous job of maintaining everything that we built together for 3 years, and in 04. And I will admit that at 04 finals, I was there in Denver. I fell asleep during the Cavaliers show, but I snuck over to the 50-yard line and saw you soloing on the sideline. And that was one of the highlights of that entire year for me, which was awesome. So I was able to hear you perform. I don't know if I actually ever got a chance to tell you that, but I was there in the stands, pretty much my legs hanging over the edge on the 50-yard line, watching you perform finals night in 2004. And that was amazing. So thank you, Rick. That's just incredible for you to be on here. And those are wonderful words. And I really appreciate your friendship through the years, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen. George, I understand you want to do something.
I do. I've had the pleasure and honor of knowing John Malloy since 1997 when he was, how old were you, John? 15, 16? In the Sunrisers?
Yeah, 15 years old, exactly.
Yeah, you on third soprano back then?
I started a lower lead, and my next year I went to third. So it was very interesting.
So I've been able to witness John on his journey practically from the very beginning. And I am pleased as punch to see this honor bestowed upon him tonight, because everything that everyone has said about him is absolutely true. Absolutely true. The time when he was a recruiter, he was at band shows, he was everywhere. And I never saw anybody so motivated and work so hard at selling the cadets and C2 and the other organizations to band kids all over the tri-state area here where U.S. Bands is involved. He really, by himself, had a huge part in getting those kids into the organizations. I was just in awe of what you did. And I was so proud of you then as I am tonight. So I want to say congratulations. And I know there's some other people out there, Rich Gillen, who I'm sure has other things to say. But listen, man, I'm really happy for you. Thank you.
Thank you, George. That's incredible. And to hear from you, and I think I even mentioned it in my speech. It's going to be weird watching my own acceptance speech, but it's what part of what we're all going through. Obviously, is the reason why. But I do mention, saying a little ahead of time here that when you, George Lee, had called me, it was the day of my what would have been my father's 75th birthday. And just to hear that news from you, George, on that day, as you know from that phone call, was super, super special. So thanks so much for your support and friendship through the years. It's
thank you.
Incredible.
Well, hey guys, this is Rich Gillen. I'd love to hop in here while we're on the topic of pre-cadets John Malloy. I first of all want to apologize for not being on camera. I'm actually on the way home from taking my daughter to some college visits in upstate New York. And when George reminded me about this tonight, I did not want to miss it. So it's actually probably a good thing that you don't see my face, because John, I'm not as useful as when I was your high school band director. So there's that. So the interesting thing about John Malloy is I still picture him as this tiny little freshman trumpet player who didn't really know where his left foot was. And then, next thing you know, I watch him. I was his band director in high school, but I left after his freshman year to take the gig that I'm in now. And John was one of those kids that was really hard to leave, because you saw the potential in a kid like this, even as a ninth grader. And so to tag on to what George was talking about, so then John came and marched in the Sunrisers where I was teaching, and George was working with the Sunrisers also. And John comes to the Sunrisers and he works his way through the Sunrisers. And then, we all go out our separate ways in our drum corps. And next thing you know, I see John's marching in the cadets. John is teaching all these different drum corps, and just to see, I still have John in my mind as this little. And John, right, you were like a little dude as a ninth grader, right?
Oh yeah. I never quite made it to 6 feet, but I was probably like 5 foot or somewhere around there. But
you were a little guy, and I still in my mind, that's my. It's like when I think of my children, like I think of my 17-year-old's in the car with me now, but I still think of her as the 2-year-old, running around the yard. So like I still look at John this way, and just to see all this such deserved accolades thrown at him. And we had a great conversation at DCA one year. I just couldn't express to him enough how proud I was to see everything that he had done. And then to hear all these stories, to hear this other side of John is just what doesn't surprise me at all, because John was a go-getter from the beginning. But John, I'm just so proud of you. And, in spite of me being your initial high school band director, you survived anyway. So,
yeah.
and in spite of me, teaching you in the Sunrisers, you were successful anyway. So I just want to congratulate you and just tell you how absolutely proud I am as an alumni, as your former teacher, and now as a proud colleague, and just so proud of you, man.
Awesome. And Rick Brown, you could partially blame Rich Gillen to blame for the my involvement with Maynard Ferguson. When he put Caught in the Current on that one year, my freshman year in the jazz band, I was hooked. So
yeah, man.
Rich and my father, that's how I got exposed to Maynard. So then I attempted to pass that on to Rich, but hey, to Rick, to Rick Brown. But thank you, everybody. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Rich Gillen, or Mr. Gillen. I have to still call you after all these years, but for your leadership and for inspiring me through the years. Thank you so much.
Can I jump in real quick?
Certainly.
Before we go to that other part of the program, I just wanted to give a shout out to Miss Denise here on Figlio for taking the reins in a troubled time of our dear Corps and leading us and leading the kids so brilliantly. I'm so proud that I think, we are dinosaurs, Denise. I think I've known you like 40 years. I don't want to say 50 because it might be 50. And I don't know everybody here. I taught the Corps from 82 to 89, except the year that we got fired after winning 3 national titles. That's another story. But yeah, so Denise, I'm so excited for the Corps to be in your capable hands. I think it's just going to take off once we're cleared up with all this horrible pandemic. I think it's just going to take off like we never thought it would be. So I thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's an honor to be here. It's challenging times. There's no doubts about that, but I'm honored to be here. I taught this Corps for 10 years, from 1987 to 1997. And just those were some incredible years of the Corps. All of you experienced, there's so much history right here on the Zoom call right now, and everybody has their stories. And as for those of you that joined a little bit later, even the 2020 cadets have their stories. They just have a different story. They have a very different story than any of us have ever experienced before, so please. They're going to get an opportunity to tell their story on October 25th at 3 p.m. So please do join in and get to meet some of those kids. They love hearing from the alumni. They love meeting the alumni. They want to hear your stories. What your experience was in the Corps. It's a very different time. Here in this country, and also here at the cadets. And all that's happened and all that's gone on, and we've made some fantastic progress along the way, so anyway, we're still, chipping away at it, and we're very busy with a very, very small staff, as every drum corps is basically doing what they can to stay alive, to hopefully be back in the field in 2021. And we're kind of calling this kind of a bridge tour, kind of a bridge season into what we all hope that 2022 will be a year of normalcy, a little bit closer to normalcy, as things change in the future for us. So anyway, I hope you guys can join. I'd love for you guys to get to meet the 2020 cadets that have been behind the Zoom lens here for many months.
All chomping at the bit to get out there and jump up and down and scream and yell for them, as my dad would say, who marched 39 to 52. Sock it in, cadets. that was the term back then.
Like it. I like it.
We had a few things we should still announce. There's some other upcoming events. One is a Halloween parade. And with social distancing still in place, we know your fall's a little lonelier this year. That's why we decided to bring the marching arts community together in our first annual virtual Halloween parade. That's something new. Now through October 27, you can upload a photo for a chance to win great prizes. This is a parade, so if you have an old band or drum corps uniform, put it on and snap a photo. Or old photos are welcome too. If you prefer a more traditional Halloween approach, wear any costume you want. Don't want to be in the spotlight? Pets and kids are welcome in the parade. On October 31st, the cadets will share the virtual Halloween parade video on Facebook, featuring all photo submissions, plus entries from our current cadets and staff. At the end of the video, winners will be announced in 5 categories: Best Dressed Baby, Best Dressed Pet, Best Drum Corps Uniform Photo, Best Band Uniform Photo, and Best Adult Halloween Costume. We'll just leave that there. A grand prize winner will also be chosen from our 5 category winners. Prizes will be announced soon, and you're going to want to win. This is a fun, light-hearted way to come together and support the cadets. The entry fee for each photo is $20 and will directly support the 21 cadets. Keep in mind, this is not a cadets only parade. To help spread the word, you can find out more and submit your photo by going to cadets.org/virtual parade. So let's make sure that happens. We got a lot of things to do tonight, and I think we have some upcoming events. In just a moment or two, we have the actual ceremony coming up.
Yeah, so the Halloween parade, never been done before. No drum corps has ever done this before either. We're the first. So this is something new. So it doesn't, nowadays on, your smartphones, you can make all kinds of, they have apps that, whatever, create costumes for you digitally, it's all there. But anyway, I submitted some pictures of my little great nephew all dressed up in Halloween costume. And, it can be your pets, it can be your kids, your grandkids, yourself, anything. It's just going to be a fun event. It's all going to be nothing that will be live. It's all, we're going to kind of take all these pictures, put it all together, combine it with some video of the Corps, the cadets marching in parades throughout our years and all of that. So it's just going to be a fun thing, so if you got a minute, take a snapshot, upload it, and let's just have some fun with it. So that's what that campaign's all about.
Terrific. Okay. I believe we may be ready in just a minute for something special. Would anybody else like to say anything? Dave Helms, you're here.
Hey, Dave Helms.
Like to say anything about our inductees?
Hey, this is Joyce Litwitz. I'm from 1969, all right? So I'm going to talk about Cindy. But going back, there's a few of us on here from 69. Linda is on also. She's been around and an instigator, I think, on keeping the alumni together. She's always there. No matter who she meets, she adds it to her list and has always, in the last 50 years, kept us together, at least all the women. A lot of the women, especially the guard, the original guard. So congratulations to her. I'm very happy that she's inducted again.
Thank you, Joyce.
We have anybody else like to say anything? We have a minute or two yet.
I'll just add something. I was just going to add something quick. I just wanted to, I guess, as one of the only people on here that only is exclusively done to C2, I just wanted to thank the board for listening to us, as we, as a lot of C2 folks, have kind of had a very interesting time the last few years with our core not really being there, and just trying to figure out like what our legacy is with the history and stuff like that. But I guess I'll just add a quick into John. Technically, you are the first C2 member to actually make it, since you did perform for us in 16. So I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for that made C2 would be a thing. And that's at least what I'm hearing about, hoping that C2 can come back in the future. So I just wanted to say another quick thanks to John, our first member and LSTTV.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's wonderful. Okay. Pardon me. Okay, at this time, we'd like to introduce, of course, we've already met Denise Bonfiglio. She's the CEO and director of the Cadets. I'd also like to introduce a few more people. We have Justin Moore, our Chief Operating Officer. Ron Lambert is our Assistant Director. Michelle Teven is our Operations Manager. Allison Broussard is a Marketing and Development Manager and our Alumni Liaison to the core administration as well. And also right now, let's see, we have George Lee, the chairman of the Hall of Fame Committee. And George is going to start things off for the next phase.
Sorry about that. I had to unmute.
There you go. That's much better.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I wanted to say thank you to everyone who took the time to write a letter about someone that you cared about, who you felt was deserving of this honor. This is the most this is the highest honor that any person ever involved in any of the cadet organizations can receive, and it comes from their peers, which makes it even more important and more special. So that being said, first I'd like to thank Denise Bonfiglio, of course, the director, Allison Broussard, and Justin Moore for their help in getting this ceremony off the ground and the operations and getting all the arrangements that have been made to make this happen. I'd also like to thank the Alumni Experience Committee, Tom Aiello, Greg Zinzio, Cindy DeVivo, for all of their efforts, the countless meetings, the hours that have been put in, trying to make this as special as we can, given the circumstances with this COVID environment. Also, I'd like to thank you, Joe Dirigo, for hosting tonight, being there for us. You're always there for us. Look forward to you continue being there for us. Also like to thank you for being my friend for the last 40 years.
Thank you so much.
It means a lot, okay? All right, so we have 4 very, very special people being inducted into the Cadets Hall of Fame this evening. Marie DiDomenico, Cindy Carrozza DeVivo, John Herbert Malloy, and Andy Warnes. People well-deserved of this honor, and I am so very happy for them, and again, want to congratulate them and welcome them to the Cadets Hall of Fame class of 2020. Yes.
Indeed.
Round of applause.
Yes, indeed. Virtual round of applause. Hey,
just
George,
a couple
questions.
Yes.
How do you nominate someone for the Hall of Fame?
I'm glad you asked that question. Just wanted to say a couple things first. What the Cadets Hall of Fame committee does, we were reorganized around 2008. And what we do is to recognize the outstanding achievements of marching members, educational staff, and volunteers who've contributed to the cadets in a monumental way. Additionally, it will display the current members and the public the outstanding accomplishments of those who have been instrumental in creating the tradition of excellence of the cadets. Our committee, again, very special people, cadet alumni who have dedicated, again, countless hours of meetings, whether it's Zoom meetings, conference calls over the years, reading every single letter that we receive from everybody, in nomination and support. So I'd like to recognize them. Jack Day, David Dumont, Kristen Fleming, Dave Helms, Rich Scotty McGarry, Jim Messina, Jeff Sackdig, Ken Samara, Ashley Swangler, sorry, honey, Ashley Swangler, Judy Olchinski, Andy Wartz, and our liaison to the board, Joan Lima. Now, about the nomination process, how can I participate and nominate someone to the Cadets Hall of Fame? Okay, first of all, this Hall of Fame is only going to be as strong as those who participate. So your participation is critical to our process. Okay, so if you wish to nominate someone, first they have to have been a marching member, an educational staff member, and or volunteer for at least one season. And we base it on their positive contribution, impact on the activity, their leadership, their stature, and character. Character is very important, okay? The nomination letter itself must be made by a member of the cadet alumni, okay? And you're only allowed to nominate one candidate per year. Very important. Must be a member of the cadet alumni, only one candidate per year. The letters of support can submit any number of letters. And you want to, in these letters, you really need to describe the qualities, the qualifications of the person that you wish to be considered for nomination. The more information that you can share is what's really going to be helpful in the committee to make a decision in terms of who's going to go in. Okay, so please, as much information as you can share. You can go to the website, the new alumni website, for that information. Okay. Wanted to also mention about those nominees who don't get voted in. Okay, it's not over. Okay. I know we've announced the 4 who are in. There were others who were nominated that didn't make it this time, but rest assured, please know that your names will be carried on the ballot for the next 5 years without having to be resubmitted. If you want to submit additional letters, absolutely. Okay, but no further resubmission would be needed. We're going to continue to consider you along with any new people, any new nominations that we get. Okay, so again, the website is cadets.org/hall-of-fame/. All the information is there, and you can also go there to submit your nominations. Okay. One last note before we go to the video, and I lost my notes. I'm sorry. Yes, a special shout out to Mr. Dennis Green. Dennis is a young man that I came to know as a member of the Raiders Drum Bugle Corps back in 1991. He was an original member, and through Tom Maiello, we connected with him, and he runs a drone company, a video company where he's the one who really put the video together that you're all about to see. So I want a special thank you to Dennis for the work that he did. If you're interested in doing business with him, please do. Again, it's D as in David, D as in Dennis, G as in Green, Drone Media is the name of his company. His website is dgdronemedia@gmail.com. And his phone number is area code 609-209-0093. Again, it's 609-209-0093, dgdronemedia@gmail.com. So with that, Justin, if you're ready, we'd like to play the videos. Again, thank you all, and congratulations to the Cadets Hall of Fame class of 2020.
Thy Hello, I'm Greg Zinzio, cadet alumnus from 1967 to 1977, where I was co-drum major with the famous John Hannigan. I'm here to introduce Marie DiDomenico into the Cadets Hall of Fame, class of 2020. Well, most people of my generation know Marie as the daughter of our famous Aunt Nellie. While Aunt Nell spent almost 3 decades of seamstress service from the late 50s through the mid 80s, traveling on the road with the cadets, making sure our uniforms looked just right, her daughter Marie was always helping in the background. Whether it was taking Aunt Nell, who didn't drive, to functions, rehearsals, local competitions, or uniform fittings at the school, church, or post, my Marie, as Aunt Nell affectionately called her, was always on call to help her mom whenever needed. So while Marie's involvement with the cadets may have started in the late 50s, her story goes well beyond just helping Aunt Nell. Marie was the first female treasurer of the Corps, the first female board member of the Corps. She worked bingos for the Corps. She was and has been a benefactor for many, many years. Through the years, Marie even personally helped less fortunate members of the Corps by helping to pay part of their tuition, as well as housing and feeding many members of the Corps, staff, and administration during the off seasons. I remember during the late 60s, early 70s, when we had our annual end-of-season award banquet, Uncle Joe, who was a longtime quartermaster for the Corps, would always grab the mic after dinner and sing a tribute to Marie.
Oui, Marie, oui, Marie, quando giornate versa per te.
It was Uncle Joe's way of showing mutual respect to both Marie and Aunt Nell for all the volunteer work they did for the good of the Corps. Now, Marie is partially old school, having ties to the Corps when it was an all-male organization back in the 50s and early 60s. But she stayed on top of current events, continues to travel to local and national DCI shows, and continues to support the Corps and participate in all alumni events. She's always there for the Corps. She truly bleeds maroon, and if you have anything negative to say about her cadets, she'll have no problem to personally set you straight. And whatever you do, never, ever say anything negative about Aunt Nell's famous meatballs and gravy. Well, Marie has not only been a part of the cadet family, she's also a very important part of the Zinzio family. In fact, growing up, my kids affectionately called her Aunt Marie. So Marie, ti amiamo e siamo molto orgogliosi di te. Marie, we love you, and we're so very proud of you. So ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Marie DiDomenico, inductee of the Cadets Hall of Fame class of 2020.
Good evening. I'm Bill Kardash, and I'm accepting on behalf of Marie DiDomenico, recent nominee to the Cadets Hall of Fame. As many of you may know, Marie is my cousin. Our mothers were sisters. As a result, Marie has been active and played an important role in my life, literally from the time I was born. It's hard to remember a time when Marie wasn't involved in either my life or in subsequent years with the cadets. In the mid-1950s, my mother recruited Aunt Nellie to assist with uniform maintenance for the cadets. My mother was the head quartermistress from 1953 until her departure in 1961. During that time, she frequently recruited Aunt Nellie to assist. Both were experienced seamstresses. And then in 1958, when the cadets left the church at Holy Name to head off to Chicago and were required to have makeshift uniforms, that really intensified Aunt Nellie's interest and activities with the cadets. That was a full-time job for literally months as uniforms were prepared. Subsequent to that, in 1959, when the cadets ended up with interim uniforms, again, Aunt Nellie was strongly involved in what was happening. Through all that, Marie's interest and involvement with the cadets increased. She was an active member of the booster organization, traveled extensively with us to state and national championships and contests in and around the area. In 1962, Aunt Nellie really took over the job of head quartermistress, and Marie's interest in activities increased dramatically. All through the 60s, 70s, 80s, Marie could be found at virtually every show with Aunt Nellie, and she became a member of the board of directors during that time. She became the treasurer of the organization during that time. Hard to find a job that Marie was not involved in. So Aunt Nellie was, her involvement with the cadets was really a function of her involvement with my mother's activities. The Aunt Nellie moniker came from my calling her Aunt Nellie because she was in fact my aunt. Other cadets, as a measure of respect, started calling her Aunt Nellie, and that name stayed until her departure from the cadets in the late 1980s. Many cadets enjoyed the hospitality of Marie and Aunt Nellie by staying at their home, having meals. It was literally a home away from home, particularly for cadets who were from outside the area. Through all this, Marie's generosity, both to the cadets as a benefactor and as a supporter, has been enormous. We're delighted that she was nominated and congratulate the cadets on this newest member of the Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Marie.
Good evening, Cadet alumni. I am Jim Messina, and I'm here tonight to talk a little bit about Cindy Carrozza de Vivo, my dear friend Cindy, and her induction into the Cadet Hall of Fame. Some of you might be wondering who I am. Well, I marched in the Corps from 67 to 73. I played mellophone, then I was drum major my last 3. And 4 years ago, in 2016, I was inducted into the Cadet Hall of Fame. Certainly one of my prouder moments, and as far as my drum corps career goes, my proudest moment. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Cindy. Yeah, so she was part of the original girls, and some of you might be saying, well, she's already in the Hall of Fame. Well, that is true. She's in as a group. But if anybody is deserving to be in this Hall of Fame as an individual, it is certainly Cindy Carrozza de Vivo. We are still very dear friends. My wife, Barb, and her talk at least once a week. She's still a big part of my life, and I'm glad to say that she is. Now, Cindy's accomplishments and contributions, let's talk a little bit about that. So, she worked at a car office many, many hours, volunteering her time, not taking any pay, of course, do whatever it took, writing off copies, stuffing envelopes, whatever the cadets needed, she would do. At home competition, she would be going up and down the stands selling raffle tickets. And if Cindy asked you to do something, I highly recommend that you do it. Otherwise, you could get a whole lot of abuse down the road. She's also the North Jersey Alumni Chapter Chair. She is on my committee with the Wine and Food event, the event that's very near and dear to me since I chair that. All I had to do was ask Cindy, and sure enough, she was right there helping out, gathering up all the gifts that we raffle off and getting other people involved. And that's just a big part of who and what Cindy is. She co-chaired the summit weekend that we did down in Newark a couple of years ago. She was on the committee for the 75th anniversary, the 85th anniversary, the Dave Shaw event. And let's get on to the bigger stuff. Speaking of Dave Shaw, if you've been involved in the alumni at all, you know Dave Shaw was a big part of pulling the alumni together and getting us involved and making us more aware of everything going on in the cadet world. Well, Cindy, when Dave passed, and God rest his soul, when Dave passed, Cindy didn't just pick up that baton. She took it and she ran with it. And she did anything she could to keep us all actively involved and committed to this worthy endeavor known as our beloved cadets. The other event that she is a big part of, it's really her baby, is the Caps for Cadets. She has taken this under her wing and just puts the whole thing together. She will reach out to us. She'll bug us to donate money. And she gets the caps, and then of course she runs the event when we actually give out the cadet caps. So if you've never been to the Caps for Cadets event, you should try to get yourself to one of those in the next couple of years. It's always fun and really heartwarming. And of course, Cindy does the speech. And if you've ever been around Cindy, you know she is a very witty person. She has a natural wit about her. Her little sarcasm is just always quite amusing. And all the years we marched together, you always wanted to be sitting near Cindy on the bus because you knew you'd have a lot of laughs. And that's just part of her nature and part of what is so endearing about her. So if you know Cindy, you love Cindy. And Cindy, welcome to the Cadet Hall of Fame. Nobody is more deserving than you. You're in a very good crowd of people that are coming in this year. Reading all those letters of all the potential inductees, well, yeah, a lot of people were well deserving. And I'm certainly glad that you are one of them. So once again, welcome to the Cadet Hall of Fame. Enjoy yourselves tonight, cadets, and stay safe.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cindy Carrozza DeVivo. I am honored to be speaking to you today for the Cadets Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I am one of the members of the original Girls Color Guard of the Garfield Cadets 1969. I am honored to be an alumnus of the oldest drum corps in existence, 86 years. I was in the rifle section from 1969 until 1973. After I left the Corps and began my outside of the Corps life, I married, had 2 children, and now I have 5 beautiful grandchildren. I have a full life, but I have always stayed connected and volunteered for the cadets. The cadets have always been a trendsetter and innovator in so many things, both on and off the field. As one of the first women of the cadets, I am proud to support our strong women who came forward in the last 2.5 years to tell their truths. These women changed the entire landscape of drum corps everywhere, and to them I say thank you. To say I am proud of these women is a huge understatement. As a board member, I pledge to continue to support the cadets, arts and entertainment who are doing wonderful things, and the alumni in every way possible, and to look to each of you to join me in making our organization successful and one that does everything it can to keep the cadets thriving. It is because of all of you that our alumni organization exists today. Thank you to all who have volunteered or have supported financially the organization. We are one big family with a bond that can never be broken. I proudly and humbly accept this honor of being an inductee into the Hall of Fame of the Cadets, class of 2020. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart, for holy name shall always be.
Good evening, and welcome to Cadets Hall of Fame. My name is David Keller, and I get the joy and pleasure of saying these magic words that I've been waiting to say for 2 years. John Herbert Malloy, welcome to the Cadets Hall of Fame. There is very few people that I think deserve this honor more than you do. My name is David Keller, and I marched for Cadets 2 back in 2016, 2017. John was the first person I talked to, and honestly, ever since then, my life has been on the up and up. I owe a lot of my career choices, a lot of my decisions, a lot of my who I am because of John today. But enough about me. The Cadets 2 sadly folded in 2018, and when that happened, we as an alumni group, we wanted to talk about, and we did talk about, how do we make sure we're recognized in Cadets history. In about 2019, we recognized that the Hall of Fame would be a pretty good spot of if we got one of our staff members or members in there, they can't forget us. They'll always have to talk about us because we had someone in the Hall of Fame. And Taylor Aves, Armand Regani, Gareth Ramsey, and a couple of the folks and I, we really sat down and talked about a lot of names. And the name that came up a ton that we agreed would be the first person we had a really strong push to get in would be John. John, it's really hard to really truly say the impact he had on the Corps, because to actually list all the things that he did, it's quite ridiculous how much one man did one summer. In 2016, which was like his 4th year with the Corps, he was a recruiter, He was an admin person. He found housing sites. He was a bugle soloist. He was a mellophone tech. He was all of these things and was still sane enough and still loved the activity. I never once saw that man get tired. I was playing drum set, sitting down, and I would be exhausted after blocks. And John's like, hey, I'm going to go run a mile. Who wants to join me? I have no idea how John did that, other than that man loved being a cadet so much that he just would do whatever it took to make sure he had the best experience as a cadet, so that he could give other people the best experience as a cadet. It blows my mind how positive that man is, how hardworking he is, and how deserving he is. I got asked by John to introduce him because about the last 2 months ago, I really took that push to get John in there from alumni and was finally able to have a platform myself to do it. I started a podcast called the Drum Corps Podcast with my friends Gareth Ramsey and Cyrus Haidari, both of who are C2 alumni as well. And we decided we want an episode about John. Mostly because if you've met John, give John a microphone and an hour and just say, talk, and amazing content's going to come out. But more importantly, we had a platform of about a couple hundred people in there, as well as alumni from C2, that we knew we could make some waves. So we had an episode about John, and in it, we told folks, we're nominating John for the Hall of Fame. We need to get you on this. We got about 20 guests to come on and tell John in person when we were watching the episode. I got a Facebook group going. About 80 people joined it like overnight and started sending nominations in. John, that's the impact you have. I'm glad I was part of the process. I'm glad we got this to work out because, man, you are the cadets. I've never met someone work harder. I've never met someone love what they do more than you. I've never met someone like you. Thank you for making me the cadet that I am. Thank you for being the mark I strive for. John, you helped me launch straight through to victory every day in my life. And I'm so glad you got this, man. I'm going to stop talking because I could talk about you forever, man. I love you. For holy name shall always be. And thank you so much for helping us just be who we are. Let's go C2, launch straight through to victory, everyone. Have a good night.
Wow, David, thank you so much for the introduction and for all of the things that you've done to bring this full circle from when we met to help me on this journey at this part of this important part of my life. And I'm in the Cadets 2020 Hall of Fame, if you will. I'm being inducted. It's 2020. It's been a crazy year, and I'm being inducted into the Hall of Fame for the cadets. How wild is that? This is just a wild, an extremely wild experience just to have been given that news. And when I found out, George Lee had called me, and it was on the same day as my father's birthday, and he would have been 75. So it's just really, really wild. So I feel like I have some pretty important people looking down upon me. This is a huge thing for myself, for my family, and for myself, for Brittany, even my sister, my mother, my sister Elaine, my mother, and it's just a really an incredible honor for me. Even though giving this speech virtually, it's going to take a lot for me not to really tear up and show a ton more emotion than what I may or may not be conveying. In 2001, when I went to the Corps, Gary Williams told me to go audition for the Drum Corps, right? Go to the cadets, go to the cadets. Okay, so I show up, I don't know anybody, and Gino brings us into a little huddle at the end of the camp and says, hey, the good news is you made the cadets. And the bad news is you made the cadets. So, boy, I really didn't know what I was getting into at that point, but I just kind of kept showing up, making my tapes as he had mentioned that we needed to do, showing up prepared the best I could, and just learning and growing and achieving with all of these different individuals. So I ended up coming back to the Corps in 2002. We did Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. It was incredible. I met Roger Corpus there as well, a longtime friend of mine. And it's tough to explain because it's, you march with so many people obviously there's certain people that stand out, but everybody that I marched with, I'm really honored to say that I've done that with those people, and it was just a pleasurable experience looking back on it. And I could say that I miss it. I could say it was the best time of my life, but look, I'm only 38 years old. I have a long way to go, so I aspire to continue to do great things in my life, but I cannot help but reflect upon those incredible experiences back from my time with the Corps on tour and such. 2003, wow, Malaguena Trumpet Trio with Rick and Lou, and it was really just a duet, and then they ended up throwing me in there, and I'm just so honored and grateful that I could be a part of it. We had a great age out year together. I met Drew Wilkie as well that year, the young gun trumpet player, and super talented, and just to see, after I aged out, all the talent that has come through the Corps, I was able to go back and teach as well, in terms of the brass and trumpets and such, which was a huge, huge honor for me. And I will always treasure that, for me to be able to pass the torch, if you will, to aspiring, upcoming members and things like that. And just to share my experiences with them, and in hopes that it makes a difference with them. And then of course, then I ended up becoming the recruiter in 2015 on recruiting for Cadets Winter Percussion, Cadets Winter Guard, Cadets 2, the Cadets. It was so incredible just seeing, everything from that side of things, not just from an instructor, but, having known what it was like to be a performer, and then picking up a bugle and suiting up and winning a world championship with Cadets 2 in 2016. It's just unbelievable. My journey has been extraordinarily unique. I can assure you of that. Not to mention all the other different drum corps that I was able to be a part of, and to hopefully instill some of the cadets' tradition of excellence upon them as well. So to wrap things up, I really feel that this is just an extraordinary time of my life. It's very tough for me to be selfish at times, but at a time like this, I just feel just so grateful and so honored to be a part of this, and to be accepted into the Cadets Hall of Fame is something I will always honor, and I'm so incredibly thankful to everyone who made this possible.
Good morning, Steve Kiefer here from Wilmington, Delaware, and we're here on a special occasion for the Cadets organization, and a huge day for friend and colleague Andy Warrants. This is the 2020 Cadets Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and as he did for myself back in May of 2007, he was the one who came on the stage in Allentown to award me my Cadets Hall of Fame. So today I'm returning the favor to a friend, a colleague, an all-around great person, family man, husband, etc. I've known Andy since 1985. His parents, Jack and Ellen, would cook for the Corps and volunteer, and were the most wonderful and giving people. And that showed with their son, Andy, who at the time was 8 years old and didn't have any inhibitions of running into the drum room or sitting on the floor with me and playing a large bass drum back in 1985, which was the beginning of what he knew as the Cadets. Andy has given so much to the Corps. He's relentless. He does everything he can for the Maroon and Gold Club, all the volunteering that he does, the HB stuff he does. I'll get to that in a moment. In his years, he's always had the Allentown Holy Base at reunion at his RV at DCI East, and he's really kept the nucleus of the alumni together. And that is a huge endeavor, because we're all scattered throughout the United States and many different ages and years from the 1980s, 1990s to 2000s and so forth. So I'd like to talk a little bit about Andy as a performer. He was a great kid, easy to teach. He did a parade where he blew out a drum head and he continued on with his hand inside the head. He did that to continue on with the parade. He's done everything from tearing up his ankle and then be able to get back in there and do what he needed to do to get back in with the years that he marched. But it's really what he's done after his marching years that has been so impressive. I mean, with the alumni alone and keeping everybody in the loop, keeping a list of people's names, addresses, and phone numbers, he really does his due diligence to make sure that we're all together. And he gives 100% all the time. He is extremely well deserving of the Cadets Hall of Fame. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Andy and welcome him into the club of the Cadets Hall of Fame 2020. I give you Andy Warrens.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate the introduction. There's nobody else that I would have rather had do that for me. From the time we met in 1985 when I was the little kid leaning on the other side of the bass drum on bass 5 when you were trying to show me how to play, to now, you've been a great friend, and I greatly appreciate you doing that for me. Doesn't seem like that long ago that I was on the stage in Allentown introducing you for your induction into the Hall of Fame, but it's 13 years ago already. So thank you for doing that for me today. It's a great honor to be in the Hall of Fame. It's not anything that I ever thought would happen or that I strived for, but here we are, and it's pretty amazing to me. I've been around the Corps since 1985, like Steve said. In the summer of 1984, my parents donated some money to the Garfield Cadets to help replace their food truck, and they got on the Cadets mailing list. And so in the fall of 1984, they got a newsletter that said, hey, we need people to help cook. So they said, well, let's go cook for a weekend at the Garfield Cadets and see what that's like. Little did they know that that would turn into 8 years of them going to every winter camp and giving up all their summer vacation to go on tour and cook during the day, and then Dad driving the van, pulling the golf cart at night. My parents showed me, though, what this Corps was about. It was about them giving of themselves to the kids. It was always about the kids for my parents. They didn't care that they got to go into some shows. They cared about making sure the kids got fed, were healthy, and were happy. And so their example has certainly led to me being in the Hall of Fame today, because I took what they taught me and how they raised me into being who I am now and how I take care of the kids today. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for that great example. I love you. Thank you for taking me to the Cadets when I was 8 years old, where I got to hang around my heroes. What an amazing way to grow up, to get to watch George Zingali firsthand creating the dissolving company front in 87, to hanging with the perfect drumline in 87, to any numerous things that had occurred from 1985 to 1991. I got to see so many awesome things, and I'm so appreciative. So in 1992, I decided it was time for me to march. Mom and Dad still cooked in 92. I did not make the bass line in 92, but the Corps found a spot for me in the pit where I played mostly marimba and got my butt kicked pretty hard by those ridiculously excellent C-Pit members in 92 who were all mostly vets and music majors in college, and I'm a 15-year-old freshman in high school. It was a rough summer for me, but I love that summer. I love the experiences, but I ultimately wanted to play bass drum, and I knew I needed to go get some experience. So one of the alumni from the Cadets, Skip Cassidy, was the caption head at the Reading Buccaneers. So I went there and marched a year and learned from him and learned how to hit the bass drum the right way. Followed him to the Bushwhackers in 1995, where I had a good experience, which ultimately led to me getting the spot as bass one for 1996 and 1997 at the Cadets. I got to live my dream. I always wanted to be in the holy bass, and it's been a part of me ever since. some of my best memories from 96 and 97 were when alumni would come to our rehearsals and watch us and give us some words of encouragement afterwards, or give us a cooler full of Gatorade. And there was 2 or 3 guys that would consistently do that. And so when I aged out, I thought, why can't we get more people to do that? We travel the country. We have alumni all over this country. Why can't we get more people to show up and say hi to the kids and support them? So from the time I aged at 97 to now, that's what I've been pushing for. I've been pushing for the Holy Base alumni to support the kids and support the Corps. And so we've created this awesome family. And it was really started by Steve, because he was there for 25 years. There was a serious connection that all those baselines had, and it was him. But what really differentiated Steve from probably most techs in his activity is how much he cared for us and almost was like a dad to us. There was no doubt he loved us. He laughed with us. He made us laugh. He made the corrections easy and fun, and so this brotherhood was formed. And so since he retired in 2008, I've really been pushing to keep that legacy that he created alive. And that's what we've been able to do. The Garfield cadets, the Cadets Burnkhead, the Cadets, Holy Name Cadets, whatever version you were in, were always about the Corps, though. It was never about the individual. And so to be put into the Hall of Fame as an individual certainly feels weird to me. Everything I've done since I aged out has not been for me to get recognition. It hasn't been for my ego. It's been for the kids. It's been for the Corps to make sure they have the experiences that I had and that the people before me had. So it's very humbling to be here today and being inducted into the Hall of Fame. That brotherhood that I talk about with the Holy Base alumni is really built on positivity. And so I try to push being positive to this group of alumni. We all know that we like some traditions, we miss some traditions, but when you get right down to it, it doesn't matter what they're wearing. It doesn't matter if they're wearing this awesome uniform that got retired in 1984 with the iconic cadet look. It doesn't matter if they're wearing the 2019, the 2018, the 2017 mask, or the black, or the blue cummerbund, or the white from the Christmas show. They're still cadets inside. That's what you need to realize, and that's why I've always encouraged the Base Room alumni to go to the Corps. If they're close to you, I'm going to give you a call and I'm going to say the Corps is an hour away. Next Tuesday, go see them. Go introduce yourself to the current baseline. Go give them a case of Gatorade. Give them $20 each for a free day. Whatever it is, show up, let them know who you are, shake their hand, tell them they're doing a great job. And so that's what we've been able to do. And through that encouragement, I get feedback from the Base, from alumni, that they appreciate it because they didn't know that the Corps was going to be there. It just takes one person to be that motivator, and I've done that role. Again, I learned it from my mom and dad. Take care of the Corps, do what you can for them. And so out of all that, we've created our Holy Base alumni reunion every year in Allentown, and each year it gets bigger, to the point where last year we were able to raise $5,000 that afternoon that we could donate to the Corps to help them finish their season. I've always encouraged HB alumni to join the Maroon and Gold Club, to do a Feed the Corps, to do the holiday campaign. I'm always pushing them to donate money to the Corps. So last fall I thought we need to take it another step. So I got on our group and I said, listen, we do great with Maroon and Gold, Feed the Corps, holiday, all that stuff. Keep doing it. We got to keep doing it. But we're going to go to the next step. We're going to start a Holy Base scholarship. So in the fall of 2019, in about a month and a half time period, we raised $12,000 in our small group of 100 bass drummer alumni, and we formed a scholarship. And so going into the 2020 season that was supposed to be, we donated half the tour fees for each of the members of the baseline, just our small group. I've always wanted other groups of alumni to take my example and start groups of their own to promote within their sections, whether it be a mellophone player that says, hey, we're going to get the mellophones because we have this great legacy of awesome mellophone sections, and we want them to know the soloists from 1987, or we want them to know who were the people that were in the first French horn section in 2015, to start coming around and introducing themselves. So I hope as people hear this, they'll go, it sounds easy. It's not that hard to just show up and talk to the kids. I want people to love the cadets, support the cadets, go tell a story, show up. We all loved it when Scotty does History Night. We can all do that on our own individual level to 2 kids that we see walking to the food truck carrying the instrument that we played, and we walk up and introduce ourselves. 10 minutes later, you had this awesome conversation, and you go in your car on the way home going, oh my gosh, these cadets are awesome. They are cadets. I love it. That's what I want people to get from me being in the Hall of Fame. I've only promoted the cadets and the Holy Base and being part of something that's bigger than any of us. So it's very awkward for me to be put in the Hall of Fame because, again, I didn't do any of this stuff for me. It's always been about the Corps. So I just encourage everybody, go to the Corps next summer, introduce yourself. If you can't get around them, donate money. It's an awesome organization. None of us would be the people we are without the cadets. So make sure other people into the future get to have that same experience. I could go on forever. I could give you a tour of the Cadets Room I'm in here, but we were limited to 5 minutes. I know I'm already over 10. I don't know what to say except thank you to the 65 plus people that sent in letters of support of me being in the Hall of Fame. I would have thought that when I opened some of these letters that it would be all bass drummers, but I was shocked to see that there were guard people. There were people from the horn line. There were people from the pit. There were quad players. There were snare drummers. There were people I taught with at Cadets too. There were kids I taught at C2 that all sent letters in support of me, and it all really centered around one thing. Andy is what the cadets are about. He makes sure people feel comfortable. He makes sure people feel welcome. He makes sure people are always doing what they can to help the Corps. And so again, I don't think I should be in the Hall of Fame because I'm just a guy that loves the Corps, a guy that's pushed people to donate money or to donate time. So it's very awkward, but it's also a super great honor because I've been around this Corps for 35 years now in some form or fashion, whether it be as a volunteer with a kid, whether it be as a marching member, an alumnus, or a staff member teaching the bass line. I've been around for 35 years, and I hope to keep doing it. I've been fortunate to have a family that's a drum corps family too. My wife, Marcia Crossman, my wife, Deb, and both of my girls are percussionists. Kara was my oldest. She did 4 years at C2, and she did the last 2 years at Cadets, and she's got 2 more to go. My youngest daughter, Allie, she's a drummer too, but she's also a swimmer. Didn't want to give up her swimming in the summer for her competitive swimming for drum corps. That's just not the path she wants to take, but her love of the cadets is as deep as all of us. She wears cadet shirts nearly every day to school. She cried last summer, watched her sister. So this cadets is deep in our heart. And I thank you all so much. Please, please come out and see the Corps next summer. Support the kids. Donate money, donate food, donate your time, whatever it may be. But keep these cadets rolling. For holy name shall always be.
Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to our newest members of the Cadet Hall of Fame, Marie D. Domenico, Cindy DeVivo, John Malloy, and Andy Warrens. Ladies and gentlemen,
Raise our glasses to all of you.
congratulations.
Very cool.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned. In just a few minutes, we'll have a very special moment. So I'd like you all to please stay. Don't go anywhere yet. I want you all to know that the purpose of this event was to be fun and sentimental gathering for all of you, and a special evening of recognition for our esteemed Hall of Fame inductees. Our primary focus tonight is not on fundraising, but I do want to take a moment to tell you all about what the Cadets organization has been up to in 2020. Much of this you may have heard already. As you know, we have established a brand new organization, the Cadets Arts and Entertainment. So while our great Corps is 86 years old this year, it's important to know that our organization is just 5 months old. The management staff and board of directors has been hard at work laying strong foundation with the structure, policies, safeguards, and committees in place to set the cadets up for success for many, many years to come. But in order to build that foundation, we need the strong support of our alumni, the cornerstone of our organization. As alumni, we have all done our part to pass down the tradition of the cadets. So many of you have given back to the Corps over the years, and one extremely generous alum who wishes to remain anonymous came forward earlier this week with a gift and a challenge for all of us. This alum is willing to match up to $5,000 in donations this weekend. October 31st marks the end of the fiscal year for the Cadets Arts and Entertainment. And I'm told that with $5,000 in donations plus a $5,000 match, they will be close to meeting their fundraising goal for 2020. So folks, as the cadets begin a new chapter in the Cadets Arts and Entertainment with a stronger focus on the alumni roots, let's come together as the cornerstone of the foundation and support our cadets. Please give a gift you can today at cadets.org/donate so we can unlock this generous $5,000 match. Final push. Okay. As many of you, as part of the many new initiatives of Cadets Arts and Entertainment, the Board of Directors has created a dedicated Alumni Experience Committee to ensure open communication between the cadets and the cadets alumni and work to create a well-connected, meaningful alumni experience. The Alumni Experience Committee has been meeting weekly on Zoom, and there are many updates and improvements coming. So stay tuned. We're working on interactive web pages for each year in our history, where you can upload photos and share memories. And once we are able to gather again, we'll have a combined calendar with cadets and alumni events around the country. If you haven't, please be sure to join our Facebook group by going to facebook.com and searching the Cadets Alumni. Then click join and we'll add you to the group. Almost done. It's been a tough year for everyone, and certainly a tough year for Drum Corps. When so many corps disbanded and closed down for the year, the Cadets is proud to have stayed engaged with our members. We've held regular rehearsals and continue to march forward together. Even if it's only been over Zoom to celebrate their accomplishments, we are putting together the 2020 Cadet Story, a special video presentation to highlight our 86th Cadet Corps. Please mark your calendars and stay tuned at 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, October 25th. The Cadets Facebook page for the special broadcast with never seen before footage. And our final note here, our Cadets Alumni Collection is back for a limited time only. Now through November 15th, you can order special designed alumni apparel at shop.cadets.org/alumni. Remember, these items will only be available until 11:59 p.m. on November 15th. So browse the complete product line and order your favorites today at shop.cadets.org/alumni. Now we have to send things back to George Lee for just a moment. He has something special to add.
Yes, just one last thing I remembered, I forgot before. We're not going to allow COVID to rob our newest inductees on their moment. So when we are able to get back together again, hopefully next year, and have a live version in person, each of you will be invited to partake in the ceremony. Invite your family and friends, and you'll be part of the ceremony next time we're able to get together. So this will just be part A, and now part B hopefully next year. So with that, I'd like to turn things over to former drum major Greg Zinzio for our one special moment. And then we will say a good night from there. Thank you.
Thanks, George. Congratulations to all the inductees. And as a traditional cadet event concludes, we conclude with the singing of our course song. So let's do the best we can. I will slow
Unmute.
it down towards the end.
Unmute.
Oh, yes,
Tell
everybody
everyone to unmute.
unmute. Here we go.
Holy name, my holy name, my name shall be eternally.
My
My name shall spread
throughout
throughout
the land
and
and
keep
keep safe
forevermore.
when on the
On the
trail
trail
or on the march.
march,
You know that
here
here is
is holy name, marching great and true to the victory.
for
Holy name
shall
always be.
holy name come
My holy name,
my
my
name
name shall be
eternally.
eternally. My
Will
name shall
spread
spread
throughout
throughout the land
and keep
and keep
safe
faith
forevermore.
forevermore.
When
When
on
on
the
the
trail
trail
or on the
or
march,
march,
you'll know
you'll
that
know that
here
here
is
is
holy
holy.
name. March straight and
Straight
true
through
to victory.
to
Holy name
holy
shall
shall
always
always
be. We gave it a shot.
Is that
There
the
you go.
first virtual holy name or what?
You cause lag.
It
Three
has to
different
do.
areas.
It's all the transmissions. It's all
Totally
the
worth it. Totally worth it.
It's all your fault, George.
No latency.
You shut the stream off for that, right?
Oh my God. I hope we didn't record that.
Yeah, we should have pressed stop for that one.
Well, I believe we have, if anyone wants to stay on, we're certainly welcome to stay and chat a little bit more. Our official activities are over here. Is that correct, George?
That's correct. It's 9 p.m.
You know,
I
when
have a
you
question. I have a question. Is Marie's health okay? I was expecting to see her tonight.
Yeah, I think she's supposed to be watching. She just didn't want to come on to the broadcast.
Okay, because I speak with her about once every 2 months, but I didn't realize she wasn't going to be on.
Yeah. We're going to give her a call when we're done as well.
I'll give her a call over the weekend.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for everything.
Hope everyone enjoyed that.
Thank
Hope
you,
everyone enjoyed the
Denise.
event. And
Yeah,
to
Thank you all.
It's a great evening.
Thanks, everybody.
John.
Good night, everyone.
Great job.
Andy.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Great job.
Great
Good night,
job.
everybody.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Night.